This is the Hong Kong Federation of Youth Groups Standard Charter Hong Kong English Public Speaking Contest Enhancement Workshop, co-organized by the English Speaking Union Hong Kong and with generous support from our sole sponsor, Standard Chartered Bank. This event has come to its 9th year, and this contest not only aims to improve your English linguistics, but also in other aspects such as your performances and self-confidence and when you speak in front of the public. Although the process lasts for quite a period of time, but I can assure you a very fruitful outcome. That's also the reason why in 2011, last year, the contest has attracted over 2,000 applicants over Hong Kong. Tonight, whether you have or haven't applied for a contest this year, your journey towards having a better and more effective English public speaking skill has already started. As I remember, we have actually been commented as a play shop last year, and so to make it even better and more effective and more joyful English learning experience, we have improved and added more exciting and better and more exciting elements. Yan outreach program to cheer you up as you all look very tired tonight, and I believe you haven't had your dinner yet. Well, at the same time, they will be promoting you about English public speaking. We're also extremely honored tonight to have invited a very professional and experienced trainer as well, Mr. Talis Wong, to share with us very useful English public speaking skills. So let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Talis Wong, please. Thank you. To begin with, I want our student ambassadors to start their presentation first. They're from the Yan English Ambassadors Outreach Program, which is also under HKFYG, and which I am also a very proud member of. Our team members, which are all around the same age as you guys, and some of them are actually the past contestants of this contest, we have been working very hard the last few weeks, figuring out and working on what to present you tonight. As we're all students, we have been thinking in your position of what you want, of what you need, and what you want to take away from this workshop. We hope by the end of tonight, you will all find English public speaking very exciting, actually being not that hard, and you will even find fun in it. And more desirably, I hope you all will be motivated and encouraged to join our contest this year, because you will have nothing to lose, and instead you will gain a very rich experience. As well, as you can see here, learning to speak and speaking to learn. So let's put our hands together for our student ambassadors. Thank you. Thank you, Lillian.
So hi guys, as Alan has said, we are from the Sir T.L. Yang English Language Ambassadors Outreach. And our program was officially started in 2009. Through the generous support of some donors. And since then, we've been going to various schools across the territory and coming to present to you on public speaking skills and how to learn English in general. So today, before we start, we would like to have a small game with you guys. And it's going to be really simple. I'm going to divide this hall into 2 halves, this half and that half. And I'm going to make this half say EPS, as in the loudest volume as you can.
Okay, so can we have a trial? When I say 3, you guys are all going to shout EPS together. 1, 2, 3. EPS! I guess you can do better than that. Okay, let's try again. 1, 2, 3.
And this side, let's see this side. See if you can beat those guys. 1, 2, 3. EPS! Good enough?
No.
Let's try again. 1, 2, 3.
EPS! Also, the student in the balcony, also shout louder, please.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Okay, how about everyone together? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, much better.
Everyone sounds very tired. Okay, so thank you for participating in our little game. And now we would like to hand over to Lucien. sorry. Gao! Run! Lucien! Lucien is our previous winner from last year. And Akshay! And they will be talking about how to find a purpose to your speech.
Okay, so hi, today we're going to tell you about how the purpose of the speech. So before you think about delivering a speech, you have to know why you're giving the speech, or in simpler terms, the environment you're giving the speech in. So for example, you wouldn't be laughing and joking in a eulogy during a funeral, would you? Or you wouldn't be listing Tiger Woods' mistresses out in an awards ceremony, would you? So knowing your audience and knowing exactly what you want to tell them about, that's just the most important thing in the process of writing your speech. And before we go on, we have 2 short clips to show you. A little patience.
Oh my God!
Olivia!
What the Ritz content?
Olivia!
This is a scene
Goodness
from
me,
the show
Olivia.
Britain's Got
It's
Talent.
wrapped round her head.
Who is that?
Lucy.
Lucy's wrapped round her head.
Okay. Do you think you can do your poem now?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. When you're ready.
Come on, don't you have a heart? You don't want these animals to depart. Forget the X Factor and the top 10 singing chart. Look at the most endangered animals and the poison dart. The llama, leopard, Siberian tiger and polar bear. They're so gorgeous, it is just not fair. If I say their Latin names, will you listen more? Oh, Louis, please don't say this is a bore.
Yeah, you tell that Louis Welsh. With his snakeskin handbags. Louis.
I haven't finished.
Doesn't finish.
Rhymes Komodoensis, Komodo dragon, by the way. Why does man have to take them all away? Man, you're such a fool. Snakes skinned alive for handbags. That is just not cool. Please listen to my passion, although it may not be in fashion. I cannot sing it, you might laugh. I cannot dance, you'd say that I was daft. But I am 7, and I want these animals to last.
Okay, this is the second speech. It's about Severin Suzuki. speaking
Hello,
at UN
I'm
Summit.
Severin Suzuki speaking for ECHO, the Environmental Children's Organization. We're a group of 12 and 13-year-olds trying to make a difference. Vanessa Seti, Morgan Geisler, Michelle Quigg, and me. We've raised all the money to come here ourselves, to come 5,000 miles to tell you adults you must change your ways. Coming up here today, I have no hidden agenda. I am fighting for my future. Losing my future is not like losing an election or a few points on the stock market. I am here to speak for all generations to come. I am here to speak on behalf of the starving children around the world whose cries go unheard.
Okay, so now you can see in both of the videos that the common purpose of the speech is to protect the environment. Later in the speech of the Severin Suzuki girl, she's going to talk about the problems with the environment and why she thinks this is not good for us. And of course, the audience is completely different. One is a TV show in Britain, and one is a very important UN meeting. However, they're all trying to persuade the audience to not do something. And this leads us to the 3 objectives that we usually find in making a speech. Now, the first one is to convey information or insight. As you can see in the first video, Lucy, the little girl holding the snake, wanted to tell other people of the actions that we have been doing to the environment and causing the endangered species to become extinct. And in the second video, the young girl allows other people to know what she thinks is wrong with the world in front of hundreds of diplomats who can actually make a difference. However, we all know that repeating familiar knowledge like global warming, it's boring because we say it all the time. So there's a saying that when making a good speech, we have to make the old new. So both the girls managed to convince the audience that their agenda is correct and that they should be the people who the audience should be doing what they are trying to convince. So for example, the first girl, Lucy, she used a very special technique to convey the audience of her point. She brought out a snake so she can grab the audience's attention. And the second girl, she's a very brave girl. This courageous act of speaking in front of hundreds of diplomats could certainly make a difference. Lastly, I think that anecdotes and analogies are also very important when making a speech. This is to avoid it being a lecture. And moreover, choosing a speech that concerns a controversial topic is important, or also a good idea, so you can present both sides of the argument and at last present your own idea. Now I'll pass on to Ashley.
All right, thanks, Gao. So once you have all the information, what do you do? Sure, you've told them all about the facts, but going back to the beginning, what is the purpose of your speech? Surely not to provide the audience with all the facts like an old boring maths lesson. You need to show that a specific conclusion, interpretation, or assessment is based on the information that is true. And so you need to appear to be truthful, well-informed, and sincere for people to listen to you. Okay, I know this is a bit redundant, but look at Lucy with her snake around her neck. She shows to us this close relationship we have with animals. She forces us to listen to her words because of that snake, and we are more persuaded by her stance. And the other girl, she calls for the understanding and sentiments of the group of adults, clearly linking her examples with the purpose of her speech. Another approach would be to entertain them. Think about Lucy with the snake again. If you can actually think of a way to make a serious speech funny, for example, by putting a snake around your neck, perhaps, then go ahead, of course. People love to hear jokes. And if you throw in a few lessons along the way, they'll be more accepting to what you're suggesting. So I'll now pass it on to Lucian to talk about the next.
So we've already talked about persuading the audience. But not only do you have to persuade the audience, you have to motivate them to do something, to complete an objective. So for example, it's not just enough to say, oh, that girl's brave by putting a snake around her neck. Or that she's brave because she can talk in front of a room full of diplomats. No, that's not the most important thing here. These girls get the audience to take a step further after their argument. Another good example was the motivational speech by Martin Luther King Jr., I Have a Dream. This does not merely assert that racial equality in America is justified, but he argues that racial equality is necessary for America to realize the noble aspirations of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. These analyses might be a bit technical, but the conclusions seen through the videos we have shown show a clear purpose throughout the speech, which makes their speeches that more impactful on their audience. So now I'll pass on to Kushbu and Claudia about the topic after you have a topic and purpose in mind and how you deliver it.
Okay, now that you've got your topic and purpose in mind, here comes the main part, delivering it. Suppose you have chosen environment as your topic and you want to raise awareness about protecting it. How are you going to make sure that by the end of your speech, your audience wants to rush out and spread the message of the importance of preserving the environment? How are you going to make your speech a convincing one?
Well, the trick for maximizing impact is a well-structured speech. Yep, it's really that simple. So what do you have to do?
Tell them what you're going to say it, and then tell them what you just said.
However, if it were really that simple, wouldn't everybody be perfect public speakers by now? That's not our purpose here today. We want you to stand out.
Our secret formula only consists of two things, the opening and the closing.
You have got to capture your audience's attention from the very start so they're engaged in your speech and leave them with a bang so you're remembered.
So, how do you start, well, or end for that matter?
Storytelling.
Start by telling a story. It may be real or fiction. Then your speech will be your analysis and your take on the story. But you must have skill in delivery. A once upon a time opening is just much too cliche and not catchy enough. Probably you can start with the climax.
Cite the behavior or quote of a well-known celebrity.
Use of shocking statistics.
For example, did you know that out of flying, death, bugs, sickness, deep water, and speaking to a group, public speaking ranks the first?
Ask questions.
Rhetorical ones are the best way to interact with your audience.
You can use thought-provoking quotes.
Make up a situation for your audience to think about.
Or you can introduce a conventional and a traditional idea with your shocking unconventional view on it.
Or you can tell a joke.
As long as you get your audience thinking or at the edge of their seats from the very beginning, then bingo, you're guaranteed success.
Don't forget to sustain your audience's interest throughout the rest of your speech. This is related to your actual delivery.
Simple words and a casual tone works best, so the overall atmosphere is somewhat more relaxed, and your whole speech turns into a nice conversation with the audience. It is very, very important to find your own style. For example, my style, I tend to use a lot of you and questions the whole time in order to continuously interact with the audience.
Well, maybe some other ambassadors in a group, like Lucian, maybe likes using statistics or even prompts. And some others like to move around and make impromptu speeches. And for myself even, I like to use really simple, catchy terms. For example, what means by being crazy, ladies and gentlemen? Well, being crazy is not about dancing in the street or just ripping all your clothes apart for no reason. It's about what's in your left brain is nothing right, and what is in your right brain, there's nothing left. And I like using these catchphrases because it's simple, thought-provoking, and it shows your personal style.
Once you have got your speech structure and delivery sorted out, you're almost done. Last-minute reminders from all of us include:
be confident,
believe in your words,
greet your audience,
dress appropriately,
make sure no hair covers your face, and your expressions are priceless.
Don't overdo hand gestures,
smile,
and lastly, stand up straight. And so before we end, we would like to share with you the short thank you speech that Lucian made after winning the competition last year. It is completely impromptu, and as Kushbu said, who was there at the time, this speech was even better than his actual one. Enjoy.
Well, thank you, as I mentioned before, for the HKFYG and all the adjudicators for providing, for evaluating our performances. But I think that for this competition, one of the main things that all the contestants should need is, as the adjudicators have said, confidence and determination. To quote Winston Churchill once more, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So I believe that if we just persevere, if we have the confidence, if we are determined towards the goal, all of us can achieve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
you.
That was very inspiring. Congratulations once again to all the finalists, and we would want
And so here, once again, I stand today echoing my last performance a year ago. And I would like to leave you with just one quote. Success is not final, and failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. May you all have the courage to wrap a snake around your head and deliver your speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ambassadors. Let us give them another round of applause because they have prepared a lot for tonight. Thank you. So thank you very much for showing such support for our students ambassadors. So those of you who have not applied for a contest this year yet, you will have a few hours left to when you got home to actually apply for our online application. They will be on until 11:59 p.m. tonight, so you should hurry up. Or you can apply right after this workshop. We will have staff. Oh, you should have the application form already in your hand. So if you're interested, you can fill in the form at this workshop, and our staff will help to collect them. Now to officially start our workshop tonight, may I please introduce you Maximilian Wong, Mr. Maximilian Wong, our Supervisor of Leadership 21, the Hong Kong Federation of Youth Groups, to present us with the welcoming remarks. Mr. Wong, please. Thank you.
Well, I think I will share the same feeling with Talis because we have brilliant students here to give the speech and also the training to the students first. And they are talking about public speaking, and I am now the one to be here and try to deliver a speech in front of those winners. Yeah, but I will try my best. I don't know how to get started, but I know like a few days ahead will be the Lunar New Year, right? So if we could make a wish, every one of us, I mean everyone here, could make a wish. And of course, as you are going to participate in the English public speaking contest, you may think about how can I become the champion, right, in this contest? Or more aggressively, maybe for the ambassadors over there, you are thinking about how could I become the world champion of the English public speaking contest, right? Well, that's a very aggressive wish in the Lunar New Year. And I got a chance last month in mainland China to talk to a world champion, a real world champion, not in English public speaking contest, but in badminton. In badminton. And I asked her how any tips that you can share with us that you could become world champion on the subject matter. And she shared with me 3 very important elements, and I would like to quote and share with you here today. So first is like, I think most of you may guess, is you need to have a very good coach, right? It's very important on any subject matter. If you have a good coach, that is almost like a guarantee for you to get a success in the future. And here, I just want to invite all of you to give a big hand again to the coach or the trainer today, Mr. Talis Wong. And I won't say he is a very good coach, but I would say he is the coach because he has been with us for the contest for so many years to deliver these workshops. And so this is number 1, we need to have a very good coach. And the second, we need to have practices, right? And this is also one of the reasons why we provide this contest, because we want to provide as many platforms as we can to the young people in Hong Kong to practice their English public speaking. And I would just encourage you, this is not the only one contest that you can participate, but there are so many other contests, and this is only the start for all of you here. But it's kind of like surprise to me what she told me, the world champion told me last month, was about examination, was about competition. That's a very crucial element to make you become the world champion. And I just kind of like doubt why. But when you look back to like so many stories of the world champion or some good players in sports or in other activities, you will see that they use competition as a kind of like occasion to put them in a real battle. Because at the end of the day, you need to face a battle that you are gonna compete with the world-class contestants or competitors. But what are the real battles for all of you here? Maybe you are not going to participate in a world-class contest, but in the world, in today's globalized world, you are asked to compete with all other talents in the world. And English or making good English public speaking is very vital for all of you. And this will be the real battle. May not be this year, may not be next year, but in the DSE, you are going to compete with other local students for this real battle. And for the university ambition, you may also know that so many university here, they are announcing during the new university reform, they will try to look at your performance in the interview, whether you can deliver an effective speech or have a good interview performance in order to justify whether you are a suitable candidate for the university. So this will be the real battle. And you are now here today to prepare for this real battle. And so I will encourage you, because here, most of you has already has the first step to the success and by participating in today's workshop. But I will encourage you, if some of you here haven't participated or enrolled in the contest, I will encourage you to take this very last opportunity. There are still few hours left for you to decide and to step outside your comfort zone. So as just I mentioned at the very beginning, the new year is coming. I would also like to take this opportunity to wish you a very happy Lunar New Year and 恭喜發財. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wong, for such encouraging words. I hope all of you are motivated and determined towards achieving your personal best in this English public speaking contest, making the most out of this opportunity. At the beginning of this workshop, we have learned about the purpose of speeches from the ambassadors and how we can choose a topic to deliver our message best. Now, as we all know, choosing a topic and having purpose in your speech is not the only essential requirement. There are a lot of other factors affecting your public speaking performances. There are a wide range of other aspects that you need to be aware of. For example, your gesture and your projection, and you can even fill the list on your own. Therefore, we're very fortunate tonight to have invited Mr. Talis Wong as our guest speaker tonight, and he's going to talk to you about all you need to know about English public speaking. Mr. Talis Wong is a trainer by profession. He specializes in communications training. He is also very zealous in training students and youngsters in public speaking and presentations. He has been trainer for this speaking enhancement workshop and judges for the HKFYG Standard Charter Hong Kong English Public Speaking Contest for many years already. So let us put our hands together to welcome Mr. Talis Wong. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. So good evening, everyone. Good evening. So how are you now? Feeling better, right? You know I'm getting very excited. For 3 reasons I'm getting very excited. First is that Chinese New Year is only 3 days away, right? Are you getting excited with that? No? Second thing is I am very excited seeing you all here this evening. And the third reason why I'm getting excited is because that the ambassador, they have just given you a very outstanding workshop, which my job is already half done. So I'm getting very excited with that. Now, let's see. How many of you here have already decided to take part in the contest? Raise your hand. So some of you haven't decided yet, right? Okay. So the purpose of my workshop this evening is to give you no excuse of not to take part in the contest. Would that be all right? So this is my assignment. I'm going to give you no excuse of not to take part in this contest, and that's why I have the topic for you. It's a speech enhancement, step by step. Now, and like what I did last year or the years before, instead of going to give you a workshop, we turn it into a play shop. You know why? Why should I be giving you a play shop instead of a workshop? Because having fun is important, first of all. Secondly, I'm sure you already have a long day, so I'm going to give you a happy time. And as I said, we learn much more effectively with fun. So this is again, one of my assignments this evening. Now, you look very quiet. All right. Can we show some of your energy? I mean, you're all post-90s. I suppose you're all post-90s, right? I'm post-50. I'm more energetic than you, right? Okay, show your energy. Come on, clap your hands, clap your hands. Oh! This is more like post-90s. This is more like post-90s. Otherwise, I thought you were all post-50s, right? All right, okay. Now, what we're going to have this evening, I asked you a question. Now, by the way, I'm going to have a deal with you. I would love to have response from you, because only when you give me a response that I know that you're having fun, right? Okay? So like what I did in previous years, so whoever responds to my questions, I'm going to offer you free coaching for your speech contest. Does it sound good? Right? So the one who raised the hand, I said, okay, you're going to speak, then the one who speak, then come to me afterwards. I'm going to give you my contact, and then we're going to arrange a free session for you. Again, this is to make sure you have no excuse of not to take part in the contest. Now, first question, what is a good speech presentation? You should have already got the answers from the workshop the ambassadors has done just now. If not, I'm going to tell you, right? Anyone who would like to try? The very first one, respond to my question. Anyone? It's not going to kill you. I mean, despite that you're giving me a wrong answer, I'm going to still give you the free coaching. Is it a good deal? Okay, hands over here. Hands over here. The guy, yeah? Your name?
Rocky.
Rocky, yes. So what do you think?
Let me take a look with my notes. With clear purpose and with simple tone.
Okay, I like that, yes. Basically, this is it. So Rocky is the first one. Give Rocky a big hand, yeah? So come to me, right? Come to me. Now, for the rest of you, Rocky is already setting a good example. Then he is going to get a free coaching from me. Now, here we go. The very first one is, of course, we have to make the audience interested in your speech. Think about it. If the audience is not interested at all, then your idea will not be able to be passed on to the audience. Is that true, right? So Lucy, with a snake on her neck, obviously interests the audience, if not scaring them, right? Okay, so the interesting part is important. Then, of course, if you can make the audience to do what you want them to do. For example, we're going to save the earth. Say, for example, this is what you would like the audience to do, and they're going to do according to what you tell them, then you have made a good speech. You have made an effective speech. The third point is, if you can make the audience, or in the contest, we're talking about the adjudicators, right? If you can make the adjudicators remember your message, it's even better. And finally, make them remember you. Because at the end of the day, it's the participant, it's the contestant who's going to be named. So these 4 points, is it easy for you? All right? Now, by the way, you may not need to write down the points because we're going to arrange the PowerPoint to be posted on the web. So everybody would have access to it. So pay attention. All you have to do is pay attention and raise your hand in the first instant to get the free coaching. All right? Okay. Next. Now, must tell you that if you prepare your speech with the content, so on and so forth, the job is not yet done. And we have a good news and a bad news for you. The bad news is, if you get the content done very outstandingly, it only constitutes 7% of your final job. meaning that a lot has to be done in the final delivery, the visual part and the vocal part. So this is the bad news, right? Is it the good news that you don't have to prepare? No. The good news is that tonight you're going to learn a bit more on how to achieve a more effective visual and the voice part in the delivery of your speech. So this is the good news. So let's talk first on the steps. Obviously, we need to decide on what to say. It's like what the ambassador already kind of started on this, in this respect. And then you can then prepare your speech and then you then give your speech a title. I understand that you're going to decide on the title yourself, or the topic and the title of the speech. Am I right? So for the first round, they're going to decide on it. So the first 3 points obviously has to do with the content. Am I right? The content. Now, come to the 4th point that you have to rehearse, rehearse, and rehearse. Why I have to do 3 times? Because I want to emphasize the need to rehearse a speech before the contest. And finally, of course, you present a speech in front of the adjudicators. And finally, in front of the audience. So these are the steps. Very easy, right? No excuse not to take part in the contest. Am I right? So let's first go to the content. I probably go fast on this because the ambassadors has already given you a very clear idea of some of the points there. So I'm going to go through this quite fast. But then I'll spend a bit more time on the delivery part. Now, deciding on what to say, I remember in previous years a lot of question on, so what should I be talking about in my speech? Now, it would be good to talk about something you know well. It would be an experience. It could be a story about you, your friends, your classmates, your colleagues, doesn't matter. It would also be some observations. You have a point to make. Save the earth, we live green, all these are very interesting topics. Then finally, of course, if you have a message to give. So this will give you some idea what to pick for your topics. All right? Okay. Now, what after that is more importantly, so probably you would like to tell people or share with the audience about badminton. But more importantly, you need to make sure that what you believe that interesting would also be interesting to the audience. Now, that's a very important point. Something that would be of interest to you may not be of interest to the audience. Right? You're paying attention now? Okay, so what I'm telling you now, is it of interest to you? Not sure. I can tell, right? Okay, let's see. Let's see. Of course, the first 2 points I would like to focus on. We'll leave the rest until later, right? So to make them interested, basically there are only 2 ways. Either you make them curious about what you're going to say. So how can we make them curious? Response. Free coaching, yeah. Okay, tell them something that may be interesting about. How can we kind of arouse their curiosity? Use question, yes. You probably go to them and say, you know what I'm going to tell you? That's a very good question, right? They will be very curious. So that would be a way, asking question would be a way to make them curious. Now, what's this next one? WIIFM. Am I making you curious? What is WIIFM? No, you don't know, right? This is what's in it for me. What's apostrophe S in it for me. This is what's to do with me. So the second one is more important. So if you have some idea what your audience would actually want to know, that would be a good topic for them. Now, you probably will ask adjudicators. Adjudicators probably will not be a post-90, I suppose, right? They probably will be of the same age as your father and mother, right? Mom and dad. So how do you know that the adjudicator will be interested in any topics? The best way to do would be to ask your parents, yes. Ask your parent what they're interested in, right? And then you can find a common topic. Or ask your teacher. Okay, you're free, you're welcome to ask me. I mean, I'm the post 50, so I know very well what the post 60, 70, and 80 want to know about. So that would be a very important guideline for you in deciding on a topic. Now, of course, if the topic is interesting, it's even important. You have to deliver it in a very interesting way. So, as you can tell, it's a matter of how you could catch and maintain the attention of the audience in order that they were interested in listening to you, right? The snake on the neck, what a very, very courageous way of maintaining the interest of the audience, right? And what have I done in order to maintain your interest in listening to me? Yeah, the free coaching, right? The free coaching. This is what is holding you here, right? Okay, very good. So the WIIFM, how can we be sure that we have a good idea what the audience wants? So here we come, we have to know our audience. As I said, there are a few things about the audience, interests. And profile means that they bring up the education and so on and so forth, right? That would help, definitely. What do they expect from you? It's also important. So all these social issues could be a very good starting point, because think about it, because they read newspaper, you read newspaper, there will be commonalities between you and the audience. Their language. Now, this is interesting. We all understand post-90 speak very differently from post-50. And this is what we call a generation gap. You heard about it, right? So I spend a lot of time to work very hard in order to understand the post-90s, in order that we can communicate. So once again, you may like to do vice versa, right? Understand them, so the language is important. Of course, there's something that taboo means there's something that's prohibited. So you better not talk about it. Now, if you're meeting somebody who is really bald hair, you don't talk about the misery of not losing hair. I mean, this is not very good for them, right? So something we have to pay attention. Now, there are things that are very obvious, but it may not be always true. I'm giving you one test here. I deliberately leave out the space between the words. And how do you read this? Anyone? Again, free coaching, yes? Love is nowhere, right? Okay. Love is nowhere. Oh, those at the back, yeah? Yeah? Love is now here. Right, very good. So if the adjudicator reads it as love is nowhere, and you read love is now here, what are you going to say? Are you going to say love is now here or love is nowhere? Both are correct, but then think of it. If the adjudicators, if you know, pretty sure, that they will probably read love is nowhere, it would be much better for you to read love is nowhere first. And you try to persuade them to believe that love is now here. Does it make sense to you? This is what we call the persuasion. Okay? Instead of arguing, no, love is now here. No, this is not very good. So this is not very good. This is a matter of persuasion. So you start on their side and bring them to your side. This is what persuasion is all about. Have you seen this one before? It's a HSBC advertisement. It says that one man's meat is another man's poison. So pay attention to that. It's very important. If you want your adjudicator to be interested in what you're going to say, speak in their language. Start in their side before you bring them to your side. Okay. Right, we're done the first two. Quickly on to how we can make the audience remember your message. Basically, there are 4 points there. You make them feel. What do you mean by we make them feel? How can we make them feel? Yes. Huh? Connect with them. Yes, of course. Connect with them. Connecting with them, and then next would be read empathy, or to really, if you can evoke the emotion, right? I would like to share a bit with you. Over the years, I've been in Toastmasters for 20 years by now. 20 years before you were born, right? And over these years, I've listened to thousands of speeches. But there are still a few speeches that I can still remember very vividly. And there was one speech I remember still very clear. There was a speech about introducing yourself. So the lady member, this is very much her first speech in Toastmasters. She came on stage, and then she's going to introduce herself. She introduced a way that actually interested us because she created a suspense in the way she introduced her. She said, now, she used stories. She said, when I was a little kid, I wanted my mum to come pick me up after school. But that never happened because I came from a single parent family. Mum has to work. So she carried that unfulfilled dream into her adulthood. Then she said, in the audience tonight, we have a lady who doesn't understand English. It's her daughter asking her to come because her daughter has a very important assignment to make. And she wants her mum to witness it. Do you like that story? Very kind of touching, right? So I still remember this story because she was able to arouse my emotion. And that speech I heard about 15 years ago. So think about it. This is how you can make people remember your speech. Emotions. So make them feel. Now the second one is to make it simple. Make it simple is very simple, right? Let me show you how to make it simple. Now, tell a story or share your personal experience would be a very good way. You probably say, oh, in fact, I have an argument. I have a good message for them. I don't want to tell stories. I would suggest if you tell a story before you make the point, that would be far more effective than just telling the point, because telling the point is almost like lecturing. It's very boring. So you could tell a story, make a point, tell a story, make a point. That will make your speech far more interesting and fascinating. Okay, those at the back, can you hear me? Any response? You can raise a hand. I mean, the free coaching apply to everybody. I'm only giving free coaching to the front. Those at the back, you can raise a hand and I'll offer you the mic when I ask question. Make sure that you respond. Can you do that? Yes. Oh, that's very good. That's very good. Who actually said yes the first time? Raise a hand. You're going to get free coaching. Okay. Now, that simple exercise. I like that exercise very much. Now, I'm expecting response. I'm going to show you some numbers. And I'm going to show you that number for about 3 seconds. And then I'm going to hide that number. And you're going to tell me what that number is. Are you ready? Okay, here you go. 1, 2, 3. Is anyone responding? Yep. I see my, yep. Yep, the guy, yeah.
4, 5, 3, 8. 3, 8, is it? 8, 4, 8.
Okay. The answer is wrong, but then I still give you the free coaching. It should be 4, 5, 3, 8, 4, 8, right? What about the others? You still have a chance. Here you go. The second one. 1, 2, 3. Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, one over there. Oh, you write it down. Sorry, no writing. No writing. Okay, no writing. No writing. Anyway, say it out. Yeah. You can't say it. You have to tell me from your memory. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay. Very good, very good. Don't worry. We still have 2 more chances. So, are you ready? Now, the rule is no cheating. You're not supposed to write. Here you go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Eight 3 0 0 7 6 6 3 6 2.
So it's all wrong. But she's still getting the free coaching. Now tell me, how many of you have already given up? when I come to the third row. How many have already given up? Some. So the rest are not yet, right? Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Any courageous hand, please raise hand. Anyone? Oh, over there, yeah.
543210876 8754.
I don't think it's right. But hey, good try, good try. Okay, another round of applause for the very courageous one. Okay. Now, what is the moral of the story, or what do you learn from here? Exactly. Now, when you get things too complicated, people will already given up listening to you, right? Does it make sense to you? What does it mean? So when your mom nags you, right, like that, then what goes in comes out, right? Yeah. So go back, tell your mom, if you're doing that, mom, I can't take it. I can't, make it simple. Ask your mom, make it simple, right? Make it simple. I'll listen to it. So this is very important. When you're going to do a speech, make everything simple, because when you make things simple, it will be simple for you, it will be simple for the audience. That would be a win-win situation. So if you will have to say a long sentence, what are you going to do? You're going to chop it into pieces, right? I'm going to give you my contact number. If my number is the PRC number, it's altogether 11 digits. I don't think you can remember them, right? So this is very important. Now remember, this is a very important rule in any public speaking. Make sure that you make things simple. The simple rules here, there are 4 simple rules. One is what we call the signposting. Second one, simple word, keep it short, new sound bites. I'm going to tell you what they are. Signposting simply means, now the word signpost comes from, say for example, you're going up a highway, an expressway. You see a sign saying the speed limit is 100 kilometers per hour. So this is a signposting. So if I'm going to tell you, okay, you put the content into it, close the door, and then you decide on the mode, and then you choose the time required, and then you can press the power on. You know what I'm talking about. I could be talking about a washing machine. I could be talking about a microwave oven, right? So you're getting confused. When you're getting confused, you don't want to listen to me. So very importantly, the best way to say is, I'm going to tell you how to operate a microwave oven. Then you know exactly what I'm going to tell you. So this is what we call signposting. Today I'm going to tell you, and you continue with it. Always making a comfortable life for the adjudicators. That would be the best. Because when they feel good, you're going to get high marks. All right? Is that easy for you? Okay, very good. Now, use simple words. Any lawyers here? I suppose not, right? On this planet Earth, only lawyers are licensed to use complicated words. All the rest of us are expected to use simple words because we want others to understand us. All right? Okay, here are very simple words which I like very much. I like to share with you. You know each word in this sentence. I float myself into the bed, right? The word float, very beautiful. I sink into the sofa, right? That sofa must be very comfortable, right? Soft. And early in the morning, I reach out for the alarm clock. And then, of course, I try to feel my slippers. So, I mean, can you see that all these are very simple words? By all means, if you have 2 words to choose from, pick the one that is simpler. Okay? Right. Oops. Sound bites. What does sound bite? Have you ever heard about sound bites? Any example of sound bites that you know? What about I give you one? I'm loving it. Grammatically, this is not correct, but then it doesn't matter. I am loving it. Where's it from? Yeah, this is a very good sound bite, right? It makes people remember. So simple, short, punchy sound bites. We heard from the ambassador earlier that they mentioned about the junior Martin Luther King. This is I have a dream. This is a very good sound bite as well. So if you could come up with sound bites in your message, then the audience, the adjudicator, will remember what you say. Okay? I like this one too. Eat your dust. You know what it means. That means you run really fast, right? Okay. Opening, body, conclusion, we already covered that. You know about it. Opening is what you're going to say at the beginning, and then you're going to say it, and conclusion, recap what you have said. That comes with the lock. Remember, I have this one. If you really want the audience to remember your message, lock 3 times. It's almost like you go up the escalator in the MTR. What you see is on the wall, they are the posters, right? They normally come in 3. The reason why they put in 3 is to make sure you remember. They could be talking nonsense, but it doesn't matter. You remember those nonsense. So lock 3 times. How can you make sure it will lock 3 times? OBC. What is OBC now? You know OBC, what OBC means? The opening, the body, and conclusion. And if you have very clear message for the adjudicator or the audience, you say the message at the beginning, you say in the middle, in the body, and then you say it at the end. And that would be pretty sure the adjudicator will remember your message. Title of speech. Now, I like that one too. You start to make the audience or the adjudicator interested in what you're going to say, even before you start saying anything. This is from the title of your speech. Come up with a title that the audience will be interested in, that will make sure that they'll remember you and your speech. Now, over the years, I also had listened to one speech, which I still remember very clearly today. The name of the member who made that speech, incidentally, is the same name as mine. It's also called Tallis. Anyway, he secretly admired a lady member in the club. And he's actually in a speech contest. And that lady member happens to be the contest MC, contest master ceremony. And it would be normally for the master ceremony to announce the name of the contestant, to be followed by the title of the speech, and then the title of the speech, and the name of the contestant. Now, Tallis decided to make a declaration of his love to that lady. So he named his speech as, I love you. Okay. So the contest chair, the pretty lady, got the kind of a script on her hand, look at it, feel very embarrassed, but since she has a duty to read out the name of the contestant and the title of the speech, she has no choice but to say, Tallis, I love you. I love you, Tallis. And then she walked away. And this Tallis come on stage and said, thank you, I love you too. See, I still remember that speech. But that Tallis is not me. So just want to let you know that you can create a kind of interest, curiosity in the audience even before you speak. Think about a creative title. You know, that would help tremendously. Now, so far we have covered the first 3 points. Leaving the last is that how you can make sure in the contest. It's important that you can make sure that the adjudicator not only enjoy your speech, they remember you. This is important, right? And that comes to the next point, is that this is because you are delivering the speech. As long as you can deliver your speech in an outstanding way, the adjudicator will remember you. on what I call the nonverbal. Now, this is something outside the contents that you have prepared. This is about the real thing. You're on the spot. You're going to deliver your speech. That these are the areas you need to pay attention. Altogether, 5 of them. I'm going to share with you one by one. The first is on the appearance and what I call composure. Any idea what composure means? Composure. Yes. How you're standing, right? How you project your image, whether you look honest or not, right? So all this is giving people a perception. So all this is to do with their perception on you, right? Okay, good. So I did think about what I'm going to dress today when I come to this workshop. I don't want to dress like a post-50. But I cannot dress like a post-90. So I choose something in between, right? I dress in a casual way, but then I look decent, I look honest, I look sincere. Do I look sincere? Now, anyone respond to me with a yes, we've got a free coaching? Yes. Oh, right. Okay, good. Posture. How you stand, how you carry yourself on stage, very important. The best way to do, of course, is stand upright. Think about it. This is a very pleasing look in front of the post 60, 70, or post 50s. We all like to look at people, you know, we call an upright kind of youngsters. That's good, that's good. But if you look like that, it's not very good, right? So that posture becomes very important. One way to make sure that you look good would be, we can all imagine somebody is kind of lifting you by your hair. Can you all try? Imagine somebody is lifting you up like that. You all have hair on your head, right? Okay. You can do that. That means you will look very upright and you look good. Because if you do not have the imagination, immediately you will look like. So this is not very good. Confidence. Important if you can carry your confidence when you do public speaking. Now, confidence. How can we have confidence? Eye contact? Okay, so we're going to into the detail. And confidence and relaxedness. At the same time, that if you're confident, but then you look relaxed, this is very good. About 2 weeks ago, I was in a secondary school. I've been invited to be one of the judges for the speech contest. One of the contestants, he memorized his speech so well. He actually had a very fluent kind of a delivery. But then he looked very kind of frigid, like the entire speech. Now, this is not relaxed. Very nerveless, yes. So that obviously, despite he prepared well, he had a very good content of his speech, but then the way he looked, obviously, is not too impressive. Now, so how can we do confidence? This is a very important point for all of us. You're going to make a difference if you look very confident on stage. The very first thing, now, you can tell me whether it's a yes or no, right? The first one is, do you know your content or the material you prepare? Do you know it well? Tell me. Of course, right? You prepared it. Are you an expert in that area? I mean, you're not going to tell me something you don't know, right? Meaning that either you're very good at that, if you're going to share with the audience about how to play tennis or badminton, obviously this is something you like, it's something you do very well, right? And that is why when you pick a topic, I strongly suggest you do find something that you're familiar with, something you like. This is very important. Have you prepared? Obviously, I said earlier that you rehearse, you rehearse, you rehearse. This is all to do with preparedness. The more you prepare, the better you perform. This is very obvious. Okay? Do you believe you can do it? Now, again, this is something to do with psychology. Marathon coming up on the 5th, right? How many of you here will be taking part in the marathon? Not quite. You're too busy. You have to prepare your speech, right? You cannot do two things at the same time, right? I know a lot of friends, ladies. They started off with a 10-kilometer the first year. The year after, they did the half marathon. And then the year after, they did the full marathon. So it's a matter of to do with whether you believe you can do it. So the first 4 here, tell me, are you confidently say yes to this first 4 points? What about those at the back? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Now, this is really for you. This is really for you. The last is I can, right? You believe something and then you can. This is very important. Now, these are the basics in confidence. Obviously, you need an experience to reinforce that confidence. And for that reason, I must say that there's no other way. It's almost like going to the gym to, get fit, right? No pain, no gain. You need to take part in a contest in order to build your confidence. But you start with the basics. We start with the basics. On the spot means that right in the contest, what you can do is to take a deep breath. That helps, right? Obviously, that helps because then when people get nervous, they will breathe very fast. They will talk very fast like that. So taking a deep breath helps you to kind of break your state. And then you could then go a bit slow. Second is, of course, it's the right time to say, I can do it. Now, this is important. You must say this. Otherwise, if you say, I can't do it, then the answer is very clear. You can't do it. All right? Smile helps. Smile can loosen up the tension in you. And, of course, how many of you here think that the adjudicators are friendly? You believe the adjudicators are very friendly or not? They are very scary, right? Now, I must kind of here tell you, I've been adjudicators for many years as well. All adjudicators, they all would like to work with you to see that you perform. They would like a good show from you. Think about it. The only reason sometimes they may not smile as much as you do is because they're very tired. The poor adjudicators are very tired. They might have already been working from early in the morning till the afternoon. I still remember there was a question from the floor the year before, I forgot when. It was about that the student asked me, he said, I'm getting a bit nervous when the adjudicator does not smile. Is it something that happened to you too, right? Huh? And then I responded to him. I said, will you get nervous when you look at Hello Kitty? Hello Kitty never smiled to you, right? So, smiling and whether this is scary has nothing to do with it, okay? So visualize good outcome again is very important. That before it happens, think of the good outcome. And that obviously would add kind of confidence in you, okay? Show time and so what, I put it together. Think of it as your show time. That would help a lot. The so what is very useful as well. The so what means so what. So if I make a mistake, so what? Now this again is important, right? That you can have the full courage to do whatever you have done. The so what. Did I tell you that I am a retired engineer? No, right? I'm going to tell you now. I retired. My profession, I used to be a professional engineer, a civil engineer. Civil engineer do tunneling, do reclamation, and airport buildings, so on and so forth. Anyway, tunneling, I'd like to share this with you. In tunneling, do you know how do engineers do tunneling? They start from both ends. So with the aim of making sure the tunnels meet in the center, right? And there will be a breaking through ceremony by the VIPs and so on and so forth. This is how we do tunneling, basically worldwide, except in France. In France, the French engineer, they also start tunneling from the both end, but they don't care less whether the tunnel meet in the center. So if they meet in the center, so much better. If they don't, they build 2 tunnels instead. So this is, in France, you find a lot of twin tunnels. Okay, this is the so what attitude. They're happy with it. French people are very happy. You see? So the so what attitude sometimes is important in building your confidence. But then Having said that, I'm still saying you prepare well for the contest. Only that you do not have to worry too much about the results. You are challenging yourself, right? Nobody can assure that you can win because you could have very fierce competitors. But you are having a competition with yourself. So the so what attitude is sometimes very important for you. And then, of course, you pause to begin. This is important. Take the time and then pause before you begin. That's the way to start your contest. Now, up to this point, any question? No question, right? Good. Continue. Eye contact. How much time do I have? Oh, lovely. Okay, here we go. Eye contact. I'd love to share with you on this eye contact. You know what? In the delivery of... that would be good. That would be good. Yeah, okay. About it. Now, the eye contact. Think about it. If you want to engage the audience, it's not just by what you say. It's also by, more importantly, by your non-verbal communication, which basically, one of it, very important one, is your eye contact. So you actually have to look at the audience, the adjudicators. Otherwise, you're going to lose the audience. So how do we look at the audience? How do we look at them? Fiercely, right? You're staring at the... Now, I would not suggest you to do that. What you're going to do is that you're going to look at them softly. How can we look at a person softly? So instead of looking into their eyes, you look at a slightly bigger area on their face. If I'm really that close, I'm looking at the entire face, that I will look very softly. So that's the way to look at them. But look at them when you speak. So you'll probably say, will I stick to one person for my entire speech? No. So what are you going to do? Like an audience of that size, what I'm going to do, I'll think about the four corners, and I could be starting from this end. And then I have to remember, I cannot be staying with one pair of eyes for the entire speech. Otherwise, you guys would think that I must have some sort of... not very good, not very good. So more importantly, I will have to decide I stay with one person for about 3-4 seconds. That would be about time for me to move on to next pair of eyes. And I look for friendly eyes. You know what friendly eyes means? What are unfriendly eyes? Unfriendly eyes are those are unfriendly eyes, because when you look at those unfriendly eyes, you immediately feel very discouraged. Right? So find a pair of friendly eyes. How can you tell? Those eyes, those keep looking their head. There's someone like that, so they're very good. So among the adjudicators, I suggest probably there are 3 of them. The one in the center, obviously, is the important person, right? So spend most of your eye contact with the most important person. But then do not mean that you only stick with one person. As I said, a few seconds, you move on to the next like that, you know. But then you really have to stick with that person for a while before you move on, instead of just almost like doing that, right? Okay, very important. Now, for a big audience like that, I probably would pick those at the far end, and then I could make to the other corner like that. And when we move our body, we have to watch out that we do not do it too mechanically. What do you mean by mechanically? That our head and our body move together. That would be very mechanical, right? That would be very mechanical. So what we do is that it's almost like ballroom dancing. So I'm looking at this lady here. I might like to move my body first and then look at like that. So this is ballroom dancing. The head and the body seems to be moving at different time. So, or I would move, my body remain with the lady, my head first, and then my body. Okay, basically this is it. But then in a contest, you may not worry too much about the body because you're very close to the adjudicators. Your head will be like that. Is it easy for you? Maintaining eye contact is very important. I cannot emphasize it more, because when you look at people, people will believe that you are honest. Okay? And you are going to have to get the energy from the audience, because they're giving you the energy that will give you the confidence as well. All right. The focal point, I said, better to be on a slightly bigger area than just at the eyes. Eye contact, few seconds. Or sometimes you could do by, say, if I have 3 points to make, I have my first point with one person, and then the second point with another person, my third point with another person. So that will also help to kind of evenly distribute your eye contact with different audience or members audience. So smile, again, very important. Think about it. Somehow, sometime, we may forget a line or two, right? That happens. So a smile can help you draw attention. Start with a smile. Nothing wrong. Grammatically is correct. Right? And then you can connect an audience with your smile and with a smile and your eye contact. And obviously, it can also mask your nervousness. Sometimes when you're getting nervous, when you smile, it looks slightly better. Buy time, obviously, right? The buy time technique, smile always help. And create laughter. I just did it. Okay. Ha ha ha. Okay, hand gesture. Where do we put our hands? When we talk, where do we put our hands? Do we put it at the back? When I put it at the back, you know what I look like? If I'm playing volleyball, I look very mysterious, right? So hands never at the back. Now it's again about perception. When your hands in the front, you're in an open position, people believe that you're honest. If your hands at the back, it seems to be lying, right? Hands in the pocket, you look stylish, right? But only very popular among the 90s, the post-90s. For the post-60s, they hate people putting hands into their pockets, right? So don't do that. Hands always in an open position. Now you probably say, then where do I put my hands? Now think about it. If you really have to pay attention to your hands will not be natural. My suggestion is when you forget about your hands will be very good. You say, oh, what? What do you mean by forgetting my hands? That would mean basically, you do not need to pay specific attention to your hands. When you talk to your friends, you have to pay attention to where your hands are. You don't have to, right? I show you, if I'm going to tell you that last night I had a wonderful dinner. I had a big fish. How do I look? But if I allow my hand to help me, then I'll probably say, last night I had a wonderful dinner. I had a big fish. Right? My hand will help me to deliver the speech. So think about it. The hand will come in at the right time. Let the hand do some of the talking. Does it make sense to you? Okay, good. Finger management now, again, very important. Not only to you, even to professional executive, business executive. People like to use one finger. This is good, this is good. And sometimes they might forget they're pointing at the audience. And nobody likes to be finger pointed, right? Nobody likes to be finger pointed. This is the first thing that's no good. The second thing is when you're getting really excited, you may not be too sure which finger you're actually using. That's even worse. That's even worse. So my suggestion is all the time, 5 fingers together. Think about it. Very easy. It would never end in a crisis, right? It's no danger at all, no risk. So pointing like that would be very safe. So if you really are using your hand, 5 fingers together. Now, cue cards. How many of you are using cue cards in your contest? Some of you are, yeah. My suggestion is, if you really want to do it outstandingly, impressively, do not use cue card. Think about it. If you really want to project your sincerity and so on and so forth, you're reading. You are reading, right? You're saying, I really enjoy talking to you. But then what you're doing is, I really enjoy talking to you. How does that look? Is that funny, right? So sometimes your body language speaks a lot more than the real content. So that's why I suggest rehearse, rehearse, and rehearse so that you can basically memorize what you're going to say and say it. Because when you read, you're reading, the pace and everything is not right. Okay? Good. And one more thing. Some go in with a very big piece of A4 paper. Good morning, adjudicators. May I start? So everything shows your nervousness. Not very good. No. I'm not sure you'll be using the mic. If you do, suggestion for you would be never tap on the mic. If you do that, because you are never sure how high the volume's been turned on, right? It could be like that for the adjudicators. So always give them a good feeling. You start with testing, 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 testing. That would be very professional. Okay? Never tap on it. Okay, body movement. Of course, we have to be aware of how we carry ourselves on stage. And I suggest, if you're talking on a serious topic, you do not need to move your body too much. When you're getting really excited, of course your body will move, right? If I come in and tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited here to meet you all. Am I not excited? I do, right? Okay. So, I mean, aware of it, and we say appropriately. Appropriately. And we call walking while you're on stage delivering a speech. Think about it. If you're not quite a professor yet, stick to where you are instead of moving like a professor, talking like this. Yeah. This is not really for you. This is for the professor, right? And think about the adjudicator. If you start walking like that, the adjudicator, as if they're watching a tennis match, right? So we say, if you really have to do walking on stage, do it with a purpose. Meaning what? Meaning that if you say, well, when I was a much younger boy, then you step sideways. And then now I don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. So that kind of movement signal what we call a timeline. You know what I mean? That makes sense. That really would add emphasis to what you're saying. In future, I believe that I would like to create a very fantastic kind of cyber Santa Claus. So this is something in future. So past, present, future. Or you may like to say, I have a very important point to tell you. Then you come forward. That will mean something, right? And then after making that point, you go back to where you were. And then, now I have another important point for you. Then you start moving forward again. So this moving forward, moving backward is what we call purposeful. You have a purpose. Only move with a purpose. Oops. Now animation is that, as I said, by all means, if you don't need to move too excessively, don't do it. And use the props. Do you need any props? If you really need a snake around your neck, be careful, first of all. And you don't need it, you put it down. Unless you need a snake for the entire speech, right? And the message of the message, as I said, is that people do not take what you say. They take what you do. Right? If you say, I'm very excited meeting you all, then if you don't look excited, people will not take it as that you're very excited. Okay? This is the message of the message. Now, I'd like you to work with me on this part because this is coming to the very important part, because in the delivery of your speech, obviously you need to speak it out, right? So in that we say, in the vocal variety, there are a number of elements or areas, and I'll do one by one. Stresses. Now, if I have a message for the audience or the adjudicators, in that sentence, there must be a particular word that is really the core or the essence. Now, for example, I can't do it if I is the important one. That what you're going to say would be, anyone? I can't do that, right? Very good, very good now. Free coaching, free coaching. Those are nobody from the back there, right? Now, more chance for you. The second one. I can't do that, right? Very clear, very good, huh? 2. Now this one. Wow, this is wonderful, this is wonderful. Last. Some more? Yeah? Now, basically, this is it. You put this stress, the emphasis on the particular word that you want, right? This is how you do it. The volume. Now, if I'm going to say this one, I must have to project my voice. Those in the back, what I'm going to do is, can you hear me? Right? Can you hear me in the back? This is how I do it, right? But what about this? Do I say, I want to tell you a secret? Is it a secret? Right? So how are we going to say the second one? Anyone? Yeah? Yes? Yeah. It's more like it. Very good, very good. Yeah. Now, on the pace, obviously, when you come to a very important message of your speech, you really have to speak it slowly. Please, let's work together to save our environment. Now, you will have to speak it slowly. You won't say, please, work together. You don't even know what you're saying, right? So when you come to the important message, the pace becomes very important. Now, this one, how are you going to say this one? Anyone? Yep. I'm very excited, yeah. Because you're going to get the free coaching, right? Very good. Okay, this one. Yeah, you. I'm really tired, right? Like that. You can. I'm sure you can do that. Yeah, very good. So, what is inflection? Inflection. There are 2 areas. One is that when it's a full sentence, this is what I'm going to say. Right? If it's a question, this will become. Anyone? Yeah. Yes, you.
Are you interested?
Are you interested? Right? So it goes up like that, right? This is easy. Yeah. Oh my! Yeah, right, okay. Now this one is even easier. All right? We all know that one, right? So these are inflection. Now, students, now time for you to act like a teacher. Here you go. The student comes to you and say, I was late because, and they're going to say something. You are the teacher. The first one, the calm acceptance. Anyone? Yes. The lady in red, yes? Oh, right. What about this? Oh. Oh. This is the muse. Oh. Again, right? Disappointed. Right. Now I can tell you're enjoying it now. You're having fun now, right? Okay, good, very good. Now, the other one is called the color. Particularly when you're going to tell a story, you need to add color into your speech. And by that I mean, I don't want to do it. So, if you are boyish, I'm sure I can do it. A boyish? How are you going to say it? Anyone want to try? Yes? I don't want to do it. You're a girl. Very good, very good, very good, very good. Second one, an old man. An old man. How would an old man say it like that? Do we have an old man here? Yeah. I don't want to do it. Very good, very good, very good. An old lady. An old lady. Do we have an old lady here? Who want to try? Yeah? Yes. Anyone raise your hand? The old lady? Yeah, over there, far end. Hey, sorry, I can't hear. I can't hear. The mic is not working. Try again. You want to come on stage to do it?
Do it. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, sorry. The naughty one. Do we have any naughty guys there? The naughty one. Anyone want to do it? Yeah. Yes, yes. Please pass the mic to him. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
All right. Okay. Now, almost coming to the end. The pause. As I said, interestingly, you're going to enjoy making a speech. The reason being, if you happen to forget a line or two, doesn't matter. Make use of the pause. The pause is very useful. I call the power of pause. It's absolutely okay if you have to be silent for a few seconds. Sometimes, for a great speaker, he can hold the audience in suspense by using a very powerful pause. Because by having a pause, you can draw attention. For example, I have a very good news for you this evening. So I'm drawing your attention to me, right? I'm pausing for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Okay? You can do that. You can do the same. But of course, by using a pause, make sure that you have eye contact with the audience. Otherwise, you lose the audience. Right? Okay? Create suspense. You can also emphasize the point. So my message for you is, I pause before I say the message. Right? Sometimes you make a punchline. I told a joke in my previous training, a joke I like very much, I still would like to share with you this evening. It's a joke by an Indian Toastmasters. Indians are very kind of funny. Now, what he told us is in one of these humorous speech contests, he kind of told us about men and women in India. He said, folks, you know, women in India, when women speak, they never have to stop. You know why? We all not too sure. How come when Indian women, when they speak, they don't have to stop? They go really fast. Now, that Indian guy paused for a few seconds. We all look at him, puzzled as to what he's expected to tell us. Then he said, right, because they got their full stop and comma on their face. So you see, when you pause appropriately, you have a good punchline. Okay, sorry for that. And the pause will be very useful in swallowing and ah. Ah means sometimes we're about to say something and forget, or we're not too sure what to say. Sometimes say, But you see, all these ah sounds are very kind of unpleasant to ears. So best is to swallow the R and remain silent for that 1 or 2 seconds. And then you could have the next word that come up. And obviously a good pause is needed because we are all living organisms. We need to breathe, right? Okay, that's all I have for you this evening. Now, the next 15, yes, we're about right. The next 15 minutes, I'm very excited to invite 3 previous winners of the contest to join me on stage to share their experience with you. This is the highlight of my work, my play shop tonight. So shall we put our hands together to welcome our 3 previous winners to come on stage? We have Fernanda, and we have Brian, and we also have Kathy. My suggestion is for the 3 of them to introduce themselves to you. Now, what about Fernanda? You'd like to do first?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, hi, my name's Fernanda. I joined the competition for the last 2 years, and I was the first runner-up 2 years ago and the semi-finalist last year. And then so I will also be joining this year, so I hope to see more of you guys. Yeah, this is Brian. Oh, and I also forgot to introduce my school. I go to Lipo Chun United World College. I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever heard of it, but yeah.
Very good. So please sit down. Please sit down. Please sit down.
So I'm Kathy, and I joined the EPS a few years ago, and I'm joining also this year, and I study in Carmel.
Brian, your turn.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Brian. I am a Form 6 student. I go to Sterlis Kaduri Secondary School. It's not a very popular school, but hey, who can complain? I participated in last year's EPS, and I can tell you just by experience, it's a very enjoyable experience, and I hope everyone can join as well.
Wonderful. So shall we give them a big round of applause? I have 3 questions for them, and they're going to share with you their experience. The very first question is, how did you prepare your speech for the contest? So who would like to go first?
So for me, when I prepare, I normally just try to think of something that I want to talk about and something that I'm interested in. So for example, I'm not very interested in, like, say, biology. So I wouldn't really like to talk about how you cut open a mouse and, like, take apart everything. But, like, what I do like to talk about, for example, would be, like, flowers. So for 1 year, I'm like cute things. So 1 year I actually talked about pandas and how China uses them as, like, a way, as a political tool. And so, like, for you guys, try to think about what you like and what you enjoy talking about, because otherwise then you won't sound convincing. And, like, that's how I prepare.
Much what Fernanda said, you need to find a topic in which you're interested in, because if you manage to do that, the entire speech will be a very natural fluency instead of you just trying to make a script and then repeat it in front of adjudicators. For me last year, it was a bit difficult because I had a lot of interest in a lot of things. So what I did was I got the top 10 things that I was interested in, and then by process of elimination, I got it down to top 5, and then top 3, and then eventually by 2, and then eventually the topic that I went for was decided by a coin flip.
Brian, did you ask your mom and dad how to kind of eliminate the topics?
You know, I think that's one of the disadvantage for me for last year is because my parents were working a lot, so it was a bit difficult to get their opinions about it. And at the same time, around the time of the EPS was our school's examination, so there were a lot of teachers, especially the coaching teacher of our school was very busy with the examinations. So eventually I was left with, just me, myself, and I. Yeah.
For me, when people ask me to write a speech, I usually have no idea. So I read newspapers. I read newspapers from the previous month to today's news, and then you are destined to find something. And then when something interests you, you just put it down on your sheet, and then you think about it. Think about what you think of the topic, and then write a summary about the news, the social issue, and then try to search on net. Search what other people think of that particular issue. And then you can get a general picture of what people usually think about the topic. Then you can have an essay about that particular topic, and you basically get a speech. And then you try to structure it to make it sound like you are talking and you're being a public speaker. And then that's a speech for me.
Very good, very good. Very good, Kathy. Now we have a Q&A session after this sharing, so perhaps you can leave the question after this part, right? The next question I have for the 3 previous winners are any area they need to pay attention to when in the process of taking part in the contest. Who would like to go first? Brian. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, for me, I have mainly two problems. My first problem is that when I get overly excited or overly nervous, my speed tends from around this to go like I start to speak at this speed, which is really bad because no one can really understand me, and then I start to take breaths like after really long sentences. And also my second bad habit is because the first round generally okay, three bad habits. Second bad habit, my hair. Tie your hair up if you have long hair. It's actually very useful. And if you have a fringe like mine, do something about it. Otherwise, you'll end up going like this, like throughout the entire speech, and it's very distracting. Third thing for me is I tend to play with my sleeves. So I either wear short sleeves or I roll up my sleeves. Like there are little things that everyone has which make their speech very distracting. Try to find what yours are. And for some people, it might be their glasses. And try to eliminate them so it'll make you sound much more persuasive.
You get it? Very good.
Oh my. Okay. In my opinion, what I did last year was just simply terrible. First, you
still win.
You really need to pay special attention when you're doing rehearsal, because for me, when I did rehearsal, I did three things. First, I practiced in front of a mirror. I practiced it in front of my iPhone using the voice recorder. And then the third thing, I just practiced it just by closing my eyes and listening to my voice. By doing these three things, there's a limitation to it. Number one is when you actually go and present your speech, you're actually presenting it to 2 to 3 adjudicators plus 2 other timekeepers. And then when I saw these 5 new faces, I just freaked out. My mind actually went blanked. And which brings me to the second point is you need to pay very, very good attention to the time that you have. For those who are joining, the first round is about 3 minutes. And for me, I pretty much blanked out for a minute. And then when there was about a minute left, I had no idea what to do. And I just had to do a lot of improvisation and just try to emphasize on the key terms of what my message was. And eventually, yeah, I got to the end of it. But those are the 2 things that you need to bear in mind is rehearsal and time management.
Very good. Thank you, Brian. Kathy?
I think they talked about main important things. Let me think about it for a second. Hand gestures. Well, you have to move your body a little bit so that people will know what you're talking about because you are going to talk for 3 minutes. So when you want to emphasize a point, then you can actually move your hands like this so that people will know that you are talking a point that you want them to remember. And also, try not to be nervous. Get over stage fright. When you're nervous, you don't know what you're going to do. Like, you forget what you're going to say, and you will speak too fast. So remember not to be nervous and have active eye contact with your audience, and then you can actually get your confidence from their eyes because you know that they're really listening to you, and you are talking to them, and then you are being relaxed. Before you know it.
See, look at the adjudicators. Very important, right? Very good. Thank you, Kathy. And the last question I have for them is that what they have learned from the contest, or anything they believe they benefit from the contest. So, who would like to share first?
Oh, thank you. Okay, one thing I learned is always be confident. There's nothing worse than going up to a microphone and not knowing what you're going to do and not knowing what you're going to say. I actually told Brian a story just now while we were in the audience. Once a friend of mine actually went up to, it was a public speaking competition as well. He went up to the mic and he said, "Can anyone hear me?" And a judge raised his hand and said, "Well, I can, but I wish I couldn't." So the point of the story is basically once you have confidence, just go up and do it. It doesn't matter if no one laughs at your jokes. But the thing is, if you start to look nervous, if you start to laugh at your own jokes, it's going to become very obvious that you're scared. And moreover, one more thing I really gained from this competition is that you rarely get chances to speak in front of audiences this big. So make the most of it. Oh.
Very good. Yeah, Brian?
I mean, just repeating what Fernanda said, honestly, when joining the EPS contest for me, I I joined it not to win. That wasn't the point of joining the contest. I joined
So what
it.
attitude, right?
Yeah, it's so what? I mean, what do you have to lose in this contest? Absolutely nothing. But the best part is you have everything to gain from this contest. And I joined this contest thinking of that. And when I finally finished with the contest, I've learned that public speaking, the skills to public speaking, is ageless. I mean, no matter what age you are, you will need to use the skills of public speaking. I mean, you can think of whatever job, whatever scenario that you put in, at some point in your life, you have to use the skills for it. But the most important part, and just to emphasize what Fernanda said, was that in public speaking, especially when you join this contest, you will definitely have more confidence than you had before. And that is definitely what I want. I hopefully that everyone here can understand. And I really hope that everyone here can join the EPS this year.
Nothing to lose, right? Nothing
to lose, absolutely.
Very good. Very good. Kathy?
So I would like to start saying that you have nothing to lose, so join EPS. And then I think joining the contest boosts my confidence in speaking English. I think people are always modest and they think that they can't do things like speaking in front of many people because they are afraid that they won't be able to do so. When they join the contest, they will know that they are able to do it and they won't be afraid anymore. And so I think it's a great opportunity for me to join the contest and to come back again to share my experience and to really benefit from it.
Very good, Kathy. You can say that again. Very good. Now, I have an information for you that, Kathy, am I right that you joined the contest when you were in Form 1?
Yeah.
See? Form 1 particular. I mean, I know that there are some Form 1 students here, right? It's always a very good opportunity for you to enjoy being in the contest. All right? Now, we now have the floor open for, we are going to take questions from the floor. So anyone from the floor that you have questions for our winners? Any question that you have for us? Any? If I'm saying that anyone who raised, yes, over there, who raised question will also get a free coaching, would that be a good deal? Okay, first question.
Did you find it very time consuming to prepare the speech and also different topics and things?
Okay, I'm going to share a personal story with you. The first time I joined the competition, I actually chickened out at the last minute and I didn't want to join it. But then I think it was one of the organizers called me on a Saturday and she was like, "Hi, I'm calling just to remind you that your competition is tomorrow." And I went like, no. And then I said, "Can I change the time? I'm not free." And I was hoping she would say, "Oh, we have no room left, so we're sorry. You can't join the competition anymore." But apparently, there was still room. So she scheduled me for a week later. So in that 1 week, I wrote a speech and practiced it and actually ended up giving a decent speech after a week later. And I think it's really, it's not actually that time consuming if you know what you want to say and you write it and you really just put your effort into it and don't spend your time Facebooking or like calling your friends while you're trying to write your speech. It doesn't take a lot of time.
I mean, it really depends on what you mean by time consuming. For myself, I think it really depends on how much effort you put into your speech. I know for some of my friends who joined the EPS last year, they spent about a good 3 months preparing for it. And this was even before the applications were out. They already started as soon as September started. But I mean, honestly, you don't really need to spend that much amount of time to prepare for a 3-minute speech. What you really need to do, and as I mentioned before, is really find a topic that you are interested in. Because when you do that, I promise you that 3 minutes will feel like 30 seconds of your life. Because the natural fluency that goes with it it's obvious. It's obviously there. The adjudicators can see it. You'll feel it, and everyone else can.
So I agree with Fernanda and Brian, and I also think that when you write your speech, you have to keep doing it.
You can't just stop midway because the next day you pick it up and then you start to write. You have no idea what you're going to write about because the flow just ends right there. So if you start writing it, so continue to write it and don't give up in the process. And then you will succeed. The speech will just come out and it's not at all time consuming. Just take it up and do it.
So the effort will pay off, for sure. All right? So have we answered your question? Very good. So any other question? Do we have any other questions? I said, oh, over there. 2 hands there already.
Hi, Fern. What do you do to make your speech different from others?
I think try to pick something that's original and something that's creative. So for example, don't talk about how studying and reading books will help you gain good grades, or how, I don't know, like an example I gave earlier, how flowers are beautiful. Don't do that. Try to do something that people have never thought of before. Like it could be an interesting idea that's new, that's innovative. So for example, well, 2 years ago, this was quite new. I talked about urban agriculture, which is when you use rooftops of buildings to plant and make gardens, because in places like Hong Kong, there's actually not a lot of space. So it was very relevant to Hong Kong, and it was also quite something I was very interested in. If that's not really your thing, you can talk about the recent elections in America, or like something that people have never heard of before. And that would be the way to go if you want to choose a topic that won't make people fall asleep.
So anything to add?
Just to add as an example, I remember there was a previous winner who spoke about Avatar, the movie, and how Karen, how she related the movie Avatar to the social issues that we have as not just human beings, but as individuals. And I think that was actually a very interesting topic. And I mean, I'm not saying you should copy that topic, but I mean, that should give you an idea of what an interesting topic should be.
Be creative. Very good, right? Anything else? No? No? Okay, so we're going to take another question. Any other? Right here.
Hello. As the ambassador said before, we should have our styles in the speech. So, do you mind sharing your style in the speech with us?
No, mine is a post-50 style, so I better pass to them.
I tend to be a bit melodramatic, I guess. I like talking about things which are very, very shocking and things that people don't expect to find. Like, for example, last year I talked about the rose industry in Ecuador. So like, it doesn't sound very interesting when I put it that way, but it's about how something so beautiful can be created out of such conditions where people are mistreated and exploited. And so I tend to go for things which are quite dramatic and then try to make it touching. So that would be my sort of style when it comes to writing a speech.
Kathy, anything to share about your style?
I try to be critical. I try to think both sides. I mean, different directions.
All aspects. Yes.
From all aspects. And then think of a message you want the audience to know, and then put it in the end, and then just go around with the message. That's what I do, and that's my style, I think.
Yeah, good, very good. Thank you.
My style is actually, I'm actually embarrassed to admit it, but it's very rhetorical and sarcastic in a very dark, humorous way. And I know that's a lot, but basically what I do is during my topics, I try to find something that is quite shocking for the audience to hear. And no matter what that shocking information may be, I sort of take it and phrase it in a rhetorical way where the audience would immediately know there is a correct answer to it, and there is no wrong answer. I'm sorry, there is a correct answer, and there are wrong answers. And then I sort of just take that and then sort of play on it, and I use a bit of sarcasm just to make my point more direct.
So we see different. We could have different way of achieving what we call style. If allow me to add, I believe that they're the basic thing that we share during the workshop, right? Do the basic thing first of all, and then the confidence is what really the fundamental platform where you build your style. You know what I mean? So may not necessarily need to copy or follow anyone. Do allow yourself to come out in a speech contest. This is what we call your style. Very unique. This is the special. Everybody is special. Everybody is unique. Think about that. So most importantly is that so-called confidence. Allow your confidence to come out. That would definitely be your very unique you. I guess that would help. So have we answered your question? That lady there? Right? Oh. Okay, we're going to take one more question. One more. Yeah, over there. The gentleman here. Oh, okay, two more. Yeah, okay. This one and this one, yes.
Do you think it's appropriate to put religious beliefs in your speech?
Religious thing. Anyone?
You should avoid religion in your topic. It's simply because everyone has their own beliefs. Everyone has their own opinions. I believe, in my personal opinion, is that as an individual, we really have no right to tell what other people's, how they should believe and how they all should do that. But basically, in terms of public speaking, you should avoid very sensitive topics. And one of them is being religion.
People have different opinions, and my opinion is that you don't necessarily have to avoid it, but always bear in mind the audience that you are talking to. I don't remember who told me this, but someone once told me that the 3 topics you should always avoid in public speaking are sex, politics, and religion. I disagree. But I think it's probably not a good idea to go to like a Catholic church and start talking about Islamic religions. That's probably not the best idea in the world. So when you go to, say, this competition, when you walk into a room, you have no idea what the religious beliefs of your adjudicators are. So you always have to take into account the risk that you might accidentally offend them. So pick your topics carefully, and that's what I would say. I don't say religion is out of, like, it's completely the wrong thing to do, but I would say be careful what you say about it and how it may sound to other people.
Okay. So this is Brenda's opinion. And what about Kathy? Any point? Any view on that?
I just think that also we don't need to talk about sex, politics, and religion because these are sensitive topics, and then people will feel offensive if you talk about these topics on stage. And also, you can't tell people what you think with a 3-minute speech. I mean, it's too short. You can teach them a lesson, a course, and then to change their mind. But it's surely not a wise thing to do when you are doing a speech in a competition.
I do agree 3 minutes may be a bit too short to change a person's view on religions. As long as we can take it, what's the word, diplomatically, or, I mean, too big a challenge may not be good for you. So like what we had mentioned earlier, it's important that we have to think about what the audience would be interested in. If we're having a big difference in view, can you change their view within your 3 minutes? Is it something for you to consider? Would that make sense to you? Okay, good. So have you decided on the topic? Very good, very good. Okay. So last we have the gentleman over here. You want to say something? Yeah?
Yes, I want to ask, how can I deal with my pronunciation if I'm not a native speaker, so that my speech can be more catching?
Okay, good question. Now, I tell you what, I'm not a native speaker too. I'm not a native speaker either. So any suggestion for...
English is also my second language, if that helps. One way I would say is really, honestly, it's hard to accept it, but if English is not one of your best languages, then you really have to practice it a lot more. If Google Translate can help you with pronunciation. Just click on the sound button and people will say stuff and just try to imitate it. And as Brian said, really recording yourself sometimes it helps so much because then you can hear how you're saying things and whether or not you're mispronouncing words. And so what happens is that read your speech slowly, more quickly, and even more quickly until you know that you can read it fluently. And so really it's about practice. And there's no real formula to get pronunciation always right. But as your English gets better, your pronunciation gets better. That's the simple truth, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Practice makes perfect.
So make your first step. Make your first step. Yeah. Kathy, any point here?
You can't really change the way you pronounce words in such a short time before the competition. You have to practice it every day. Try to read a passage at home every day so that you are familiar with speaking English. I mean, you speak Cantonese every day and you are good at Cantonese. So try to speak English as much as possible and then you will speak English well.
No, I will not take that as an excuse not to enter into the competition. Right, so this is the last question. Shall we put another round of applause to thank our three previous winners, Fernanda, Brian, and Kathy, for their sharing. Thank you very much. So sweet.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Wan and our student representative.
Allow me, I have a last video that I want to show them before as a thank you very much. Thank you. I have a video that I'd like to show you to wrap up my presentation. Remember, we have the OBC. Remember that? So I'm coming to the end of my presentation. What I'd like to show you is, thank you. Time for you to start preparing your speech. And when you prepare your speech, if I may share with you what I call the 3 essential elements to make your speech impactful. And the 3 elements are, the very first one is what I call the fierceness. Is this what too difficult for you? Basically what we're saying here, make sure in your speech there is a message for the audience. Make sure. Otherwise, you're talking something empty. The audience will be very disappointed. So make sure there is something for the audience to take home. The message. This is what we call the fierceness. This is how we compare. Now, this is something to do with energy inside us. The fierceness is almost like your father. Discipline. Have a clear direction. You know, where to go. Things like that. So this is the fierceness. The second important element is what I call the tenderness. And that basically means that you care to share. You really want to share. It's a message that you are so eager to let other people know. So this is what we call the tenderness. And tenderness equates to the motherly care, the motherly love. So father and mother, right? And we say a good father has a little bit of a mother. So this is where it comes from. So with only tenderness without fierceness, in a Chinese saying, we say a overly loving mother will spoil the child. You heard about that saying, right? Okay, so only tenderness without fierceness is no good. Only fierceness without tenderness, again, is no good because it's very hard to swallow. So tenderness and fierceness. Then you probably ask, what is the last? I say 3 elements, right? The last is what I call the playful, the fun. If you can inject some humor into your speech, it's so much better. Now, the 3 elements. The playfulness is almost equate to that each and every one of us has a little child inside us that are creative. We want fun. We want to be naughty. It's perfectly right. So if your speech could include or incorporate these 3 things into it, everybody would be touched by your speech. And I have a video to show you. It's only a 2.5 minute speech. It consists of all 3 elements, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
Mrs. Lee, I believe you have some words to say about the dearly departed.
I'm not going to sing praises for my late husband. Not today. Neither am I going to talk about how good he was. Enough people have done that here. Instead, I want to talk about some things that will make some of you feel a bit uncomfortable. First off, I want to talk about what happened in bed. Ever had difficulty starting your car engine in the morning? Well, that's exactly what David's snoring sounded like. But wait, snoring wasn't everything. There was also this rear end wind action going on as well. Some nights, it would be so forceful, it would wake him up. What was that? He would ask. Oh, it's the dog, I would say. Go back to sleep, dear. Or you might find this all very funny, but towards the end of his life, when his illness was at its worst, these sounds indicated to me that my David was still alive. And what I wouldn't give just to hear those sounds again before I sleep. In the end, it's these small things that you remember, the little imperfections that make them perfect for you. So to my beautiful children, I hope one day you too find yourselves life partners who are as beautifully imperfect as your father was to me.
Okay. Playfulness, tenderness, fierceness. So this is my message for you. And have a successful contest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, our student representatives. Would you like to remain on stage for another moment? We're gonna distribute our little souvenirs to you from our HKFYG organization. So, Brian, please. And also for the photo taking. Thank you. Thank you very much. Another round of applause, please. Thank you. I'm sure you all learned a lot from tonight, from the workshop, and from Mr. Wong, very experienced trainer. It is nearly the end of our workshop tonight, but before that, it's our questionnaire time. It's a must for everybody. Your comments will be very useful for our future improvements on our service. So we would like you to please kindly take a moment and fill in our questionnaire that is already that has been already distributed to you. It's in a pile in your hand.